Greetings Tarnished, it is I, Eurogamer's Ian Higton, here to bestow upon you some early hours tips for Elden Ring's Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Now, I know there are going to be plenty of Elden Ring snobs checking this video out. You know, people who will be all like, lol, just get good noob, what? Noob tips, lol. But that doesn't help anyone out, and this video isn't for those people, so hopefully they can just wander off to bask in the scent of their own bum guffs and leave us lot to it. And who exactly are us lot, you may be wondering? Well, this video is specifically for people like me. People who played a lot of Elden Ring when it first came out, but then, after completing it and New Game Plusing it or whatever, haven't really touched it for like 2 years or something since, and so need a bit of a refresher course when coming out of the gate. Or, in this case, coming out of the cave that leads onto Gravesite Plain here. Oh, that's a cool view. Okay, first up, and this is probably the most important, bestest tip in this video that everyone needs to do, so I've put it right at the start, but make sure that you go straight to the System Display Settings menu when you load the game, and then turn the Show Recent Items tab to On, along with the Mark New Items toggle too. While the game tells you to do this when you first load it up after the most recent 1.12 update, it only tells you to do this once, and it's in this boring text panel, which I then just skim read and completely forgot about because I was way too excited about getting stuck into the new DLC. So for the first 5 hours or so, I had no idea that these settings even existed, and because of this I found it impossibly hard to spot new items that I'd picked up amongst the swathes of loot that was already sitting in my inventory. With the new Show Recent Items tab, however, everything that I just picked up from the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is right there in front of me at a glance, rather than tucked away under mountains of old greatswords that I'll never bloody use. This setting is available to everyone, whether they have the DLC or not, but I guarantee that years down the line, people who've been playing the DLC for ages will still comment on this video going, "Oh my god, I had no idea." So a big hello from the past to you if you're currently facepalming really hard right now. This next point is pretty damn obvious, but just in case you've forgotten, the map in Elden Ring is only uncovered when you pick up map fragments at specific markers. Resist the urge then to gallop off and explore this new land straight away, because if you look at your map as soon as you emerge onto Gravesite Plain, you'll see that it's all greyed out. There's thankfully a little obelisk on that grey blob of a map that points you to the map marker though, so before you do anything else, go grab that so that you can get the lay of the land a little bit easier. The second map marker that you should try aiming for can now just about be seen at the top of this map, just past Castle Ensis. I won't show you what happens when you pick that up because, well, it's pretty epic and I don't want to spoil it for you, but there are plenty of places for you to explore and things for you to kill before you even go there. So take your time reaching it, and by the time you finally get there, your Elden Ring muscle memory should have long returned. One of the biggest changes in Shadow of the Erdtree are the 2 new items, the Scadutree fragments and the Revered Spirit Ashes, which you can consume at sites of grace in order to bolster both your Tarnished and your summons, and increase their damage output and negation. These boosts are only effective in the Shadow Realm, but they are much needed, especially in the early hours of the DLC when everything feels a bit higher level than you do. The more you progress through the DLC, the more of these blessings you'll find, or be given, but to get you started, here's the location of 2 of the easiest ones to get. First off, head to the road in front of the first site of grace that you find, and follow it down to the south and around until you reach the Church of Consolation here. Once you've defeated the knight inside, you'll find a Scadutree blessing right there, on the floor in front of the statue. From there, head on back up and around and onto the cliff top that's overlooking the church. Right up in the corner where the cliff top meets a waterfall, you'll find a statue with a Revered Spirit Ash blessing resting on its lap. So grab that one in your greasy little paws and then head on back to the nearby site of Grace to cash them in and learn a little bit more about what they do. You may remember the golden-mounted tree sentinel from the beginning of Elden Ring, who would continually kick your ass until you gave up and then returned later on all leveled up and sporting better gear in order to give it a good shoeing. Well, that was the game teaching you that running away is okay. It's better to fight another day and all that nonsense. Oi, mate, killing me is one thing, but knocking down a church? Unbelievable, the bloody cheek. Anyway, that Furnace Golem that you can see in the distance there in the opening area of the DLC serves a similar purpose. This thing will absolutely waste you with a couple of fiery kicks, and even when you've sucked up a few Scadutree fragments, they are still tough to beat. So I'd recommend steering clear of him and all of the others that you can find on the map for the time being. Or don't, I guess. Don't let me tell you what to do. Maybe you'll get lucky. Or maybe you'll just get turned into a barbecued tarnished like I did. If you were paying close attention to the story trailer for Shadow of the Erdtree, you may have spotted these golden symbols in the footage. These things are called Miquella's crosses, and they are interactable objects that depict Miquella's journey through the Land of Shadow. Aside from playing into the overarching story for the DLC, you basically need to find them all, Miquella's crosses are also essentially there to mark your progress through the game. Whilst finding these crosses is important to the narrative, they almost always have a Scadutree fragment with them, so finding as many of these as possible will help you boost your stats immeasurably. You'll find the first one just north of the starting point, and standing right next to that, you'll also find an NPC who will provide you with a map that indicates the locations of 3 more crosses in the nearby area. Finding and touching these ones first will put you on the path towards the first main legacy dungeon in the game, and all those Scadutree fragments that you pick up will also put you in good stead for the battle that ensues.
We are in our purposes well aligned, but understand, your kind are not forgiven.
Dragons make a return in Shadow of the Erdtree, but as always they have the same moveset as they did in the base game. So hopefully, considering you've managed to get far enough into the game to unlock this DLC, you should still have a bit of muscle memory in you for taking them out as quickly as possible. Because of this, these dragons should make for a fairly easy kill, despite their imposing nature, and doing so will of course deliver a good chunk of runes to your pocket, which you can then use if you're in need of an early level up, or I don't know if you want to buy something from a trader or something. Anyway, there's one such dragon in a lake north of the first Miquella's Cross, which makes for an ideal target, or I guess a warm-up fight before you go and take on one of the first bosses in the game. Just watch out for this dragon's ghost breath while you're there, though. Whew, Jesus. Someone get that fella a smint or something. That is stinky. And finally, Shadow of the Erdtree features plenty of new weapons, spells and armor types that you may want to try out, but perhaps you can't because you don't have the necessary stats. Maybe you played the base game as a mage, for example, but are keen to try out one of the new martial arts melee weapons instead. Well, if that's the case, you should really consider respeccing your character. And if you've forgotten how to do that, and no one would blame you if you had, except for assholes, because it's been a long time, right? Allow me to refresh your memory. Respeccing your character requires 1, count 'em, Larval Tier, and a visit to Renala at the Raya Lucaria Academy. But I've not done that yet because, well, in the words of Garth from Wayne's World,
we fear change.
And And that's your lot. Hopefully this little video has helped you to jog the dust from your Elden memories, and if it did, please do give this video a like and subscribe to Eurogamer for almost daily videos about video games. Big shout out to Ed Nightingale, Eurogamer's deputy news editor, for helping with this video. There's a link to his written guide in the description below. And of course, thanks to you lot for watching. Now, off you go and have an awesome time in Shadow of the Erdtree. It's an absolute banger of a DLC, and I'm absolutely loving it. Goodbye.